What a win. Where do we even begin other than the fact of just saying that this Seahawks team might be the best team in the NFL? And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not guaranteeing anything. But it is safe to say if they can go in and beat the Rams this coming weekend, they actually might be the best team in football. And there's numbers to back this up. There's the eye test and just a general feel of what's going on that shows how good this team really is. The Seahawks are playing dominant football. The way they are scoring points against other teams and playing defense on the other end proves how good they are. Let's look at just the points that they're putting up. They have put up 38 points against the Cardinals in the first half. They put up 38 points against the Saints in the first half. And they put up 31 points against the Commanders in the first half. All in the first half, which is crazy. They're first team to score 30. They're the first team to score 31 plus points in 3 first halves of a season since the Rams in 1980. And then 2 other teams had done it. The Raiders in 1968 and the Chargers in 1961. So no one's done it in 45 years. And before that was in the 60s. 3 games with 31 plus points this season. And all 3 of those are the top points scored in the first half of the season, along with the Vikings scoring 31 once as well. But the 238 are the top, and the 31's tied for second. That's how good it's been. And when I say offense, I'm talking about points, but we know that this has been a combination of things. There has been kick returns for touchdowns or punt returns, whatever it was that Torrey Horton did that game against the Saints. This week was 2 DeMarcus Lawrence touchdowns off 2 Tyrese Knight strip sacks that brought 14 points to the table against the Cardinals. Complete, total team effort. And I think the offense gets talked about a lot because you obviously have Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's at 1,041 yards on the season through 9 games, while second in the NFL, Jamar Chase at 831. So he is 210 yards ahead of the next closest guy, which also puts him on pace for 1,966 yards, which would beat the all-time record of Calvin Johnson. That was 1964, 1,964. That was 16 games. This would be 17, but it's still the record. I mean, regardless if he does it in 16 or 17 games, it's not like we're going to look at this and be like, whatever. I mean, even if you go through 16 games and he's short a couple 50 to 100 yards, you're going to think it's so impressive that he's almost should be an MVP candidate. That's how good he's been. It's been special. But then you look at the defense and the DVOA rankings and all these different things and the offensive line, who maybe like their PFF grading's not perfect, but they've allowed the fewest sacks in the NFL this season with 10. That's it. 9 games, 10 sacks. Doesn't really get much better than that. The pressures on defense. 17.5 pressures, QB pressures per game by the defense, which is first in the NFL. 3.4 sacks per game, which is first in the NFL. The DVOA, I mean, like they fell a little bit, but right now through 9 games, they are, I think, 8th or 9th, or number 8 DVOA ever in history through 9 games. They have the 8th highest DVOA ever through 9 games. They're at 7-2. They're ranked number 4 in the NFL right now on defense, I think it is. Offense is number 4, defense is number 3, special teams is number 2 in the NFL. And through 9 games, that is the 8th highest ever. So just everything about this game and this team right now is screaming excellence. It's screaming one of the better teams we've ever seen. It's offensively and defensively. And that's like, something that I don't think we could say we've seen dominance like this since the 2013, 2014, 2015 years. We never saw this since then. It's been 10 years, 11 years, 12 years almost, since the beginning of that dominance started happening in 2013. And now we're seeing it. We're seeing it clearly, and we're seeing it just emphatically every week. And that, That 7-2 record that we're sitting at, that includes a game where you lose to the 49ers where Sam Darnold gets ran into by Abraham Lucas and that fumble happens. Otherwise, I mean, you're on the 20-yard line. We probably win that game week 1. And then against the Buccaneers, interception at the end of the game, we could have driven down and had a chance to win the game. Now, what I'm not trying to claim is that we should have won those games. I'm not claiming that, the Buccaneers or 49ers didn't earn that game. They did. Don't get me wrong. But you have to look at these, not a domination loss, not a ridiculous loss by them. They're losing by a play or two in those 2 losses out of these 7 games. So we're talking about a situation where a 7-2 football team with 2 very tight losses get to play another 7-2 football team in the Rams, their division rivals, and we get to see who actually is the best team right now. We get to see who's the true champion this year in the NFC West. Now, there's another game against the Rams, too, coming up. We have another game against the 49ers coming up. We have a game against the Colts coming up. We have some tough games. We have some easier ones on the schedule, too, but this, I think, will define the season is the best way to say it. If the Seahawks go to LA this weekend, win that game, I think it'll tell you a lot about who's in the driver's seat. If you lose that game, it doesn't mean that much either. I mean, you're still going to be 7-3, have another game against the Rams at home later in the year. You're still going to be a very, a top 2 or 3 seed, 4th seed maybe, whatever, at this point in the season. There's a lot of season left. We're halfway through. There's still another 8 games. But that win would mean a lot more than the loss would mean. Like the negativity of a loss, unless you get blown out of the water, wouldn't be that big of a deal on the road against the Rams, divisional opponent, whatever. They lost that game. But that win would mean a lot. You'll probably move into first in PFF ratings, which were 0.7 behind the Rams right now, sitting at the second best PFF team in football. You move into like the 1 seed territory, right? I think it would depend what happens with the Eagles, who are, if I'm not mistaken, also they're 6-2. If they win today, they'll be 7-2. So there's some other factors, of course, but you're basically putting yourself in a driver's seat for the NFC West and the driver's seat for potentially being the number 1 seed in the NFC. That's how special a game like this could be, and a win like this could be for the Seahawks. Offensively, defensively, it's just so good. And, I've spewed out some numbers, and I'll continue to spew some out, but it's so hard to, even keep track of all these different numbers. Like, we have another JSN one that I screenshot during the game. One of 3 players in the Super Bowl era, JSN, with 75-plus receiving yards in each of his first 9 games. The other 2 are Michael Irving in 1995 and Antonio Brown in 2014. That's crazy. I mean, we're talking about guys that are Hall of Fame level. Now, I don't know if Brown's going to be put in the Hall of Fame because of his craziness, but it's Hall of Fame level. And you look at some of those numbers, like for JSN, and then you also just look at those numbers for the team. Like, this is the first time the Seahawks have won consecutive games by 20-plus points since weeks 13 and 14 of that 2015 season. Another stat that takes me back kind of to that 2013, 2014, 2015 run where you're like, this team is special. The pass rush is special. The corners are special. The safeties are really good. The offensive line's showing up, especially, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's way better than it once was. The run game's good. The receivers are good. Adding Rashid Shaheed is something that, is awesome to see. All of it is just equaling out to this well-rounded football team. And all of that is while the Seahawks are dealing with injuries. Let's not forget, there has been games with these defensive players missing. Devin Witherspoon, Nick Emanwuri, Julian Love, Ernest Jones, Jaron Reed, Derek Hall, DeMarcus Lawrence, Josh Jobe this week. There is multiple games of players on the defense, and those are significant players. I can add more. Robbie Oots missed some game as a fullback, and we lost our center mid-game this week, and Cooper Kupp missed a game. I can add, but I'm talking about these guys on defense. These are names that make really big impacts. These are guys who've missed games this year, and some of them missed plenty. Julian Love's been out multiple weeks. Devin Witherspoon was out multiple weeks. Derek Hall missed multiple games. Jaron Reed is now on the IR. Ernest Jones missed this week, our starting linebacker, our best linebacker. But then you see the way guys step up. Tyrese Knight comes in, 2 strip sacks. For DeMarcus Lawrence, 2 touchdowns. This team has that aura of, hey, this could be really special. And I'd be wrong not to mention Sam Darnold. Now, I'm still one of those that I think I was very wrong about Sam Darnold because I believed he would be a younger version of Geno Smith, which was partially correct. But he wasn't just a younger version of Geno Smith. He was a younger version of Geno Smith that turned out to be a star for the Seahawks. We're talking about a guy who has 2,262 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 6 picks this year. 7th in yards, 7th in touchdowns, 1st in QBR in the entire NFL at a 77.7. I want to go to the PFF grades. I don't even know what they are. I'm just doing this on the spot right here. He has the 2nd highest passing grade behind Matt Stafford by 0.1. Matt Stafford's at 92.4, Sam Darnold 92.3. Offense grade, total offense, including running, passing, fumble grades, 93.1 for Sam Darnold, 92.5 for Matt Stafford, number 1 and number 2. So we're talking about a guy who's having a almost MVP level season, and like his numbers don't even look good this last week. He was 10 for 12, 178 yards, 1 pick, 1 touchdown, because they were up 38-0 or 38-7, whatever it was in the first half. But then you remember last week, 21 for 24, 330, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Average game against the Houston Texans, but we had a pretty big lead early. Jacksonville had a huge game. Tampa Bay had a huge game, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Now, sometimes the picks, he has a pick in 4 out of 5 games. Sometimes that's getting in the way. We know he does that, though, but he's not – he has some hectic throws, but he's not Jameis Winston hectic, right? He makes hectic throws that are, he was trying to fit it into a tight window, not like a ridiculous, like, what in the world was this guy thinking type of throw. It's been ridiculous. It's been phenomenal, and – you can't talk about the Seahawks team without talking about Sam Darnold, 28 years old. When I say younger version of Geno Smith, I mean 6 years younger. And not only did he take what Geno Smith does, but he has elevated it to another level. The Seahawks made the right choice once again. They made the right choice with the wide receivers, with Sam Darnold, with some moves they made all over the place. The draft class the last few years. This team is unlimited potential right now, and it's looking ridiculously good. I can't wait to see it. What happens this week against the Rams, because it's going to be special if we win that game and earn the driver's seat for the number 1 seed and the NFC West first place title. Can't wait. We'll be back multiple times this week talking about this team because it's a special season. I'll see you guys next time. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate y'all, and I love y'all. Peace.